Good morning, everyone. Jim Clark here at the Synchronicity Sanctuary to share another contemplative focus with you today. And the focus I wanted to share with you today is virtual or true? Is your reality real? Now, we know today that it's a scientific fact that's been validated over and over again by quantum mechanics and the observations and the experiments that have proven that our beliefs play a role in the outer reality that we experience. The observer affects the observed. The outer world reflects the inner world of our being. All of our beliefs, conscious and unconscious, flavor the reality that we experience. Through the practice of meditation, we have the opportunity to make the unconscious conscious. Once we know what our beliefs are, we can relinquish the ones that do not serve us anymore. So basically, it comes down to this: how much attention do you pay to yourself? And to what degree, what depth? Um, the root meaning of meditation, which I came across a little while ago, was to be familiar with, and familiar with ourselves. Who am I? What am I? How do I work? What's happening here? And how much control do I have over that? And this is really what meditation is all about, is to become familiar, to know yourself as much as you can, and to make the unconscious conscious. Now, I find in my own experience that the early morning hours or the late evening hours, when I'm not asleep but in a very restful state, it's kind of like I'm automatically meditating, and I observe what's coming up, and I observe whether it's a positive or a negative reflection of who I am. That's a definition of who I am that I am entertaining. And if I cling to that definition, then I will experience that definition in my outer world. And so if it's a negative, if it's a disempowering uh, piece of data that I see that I've still got coming up from my inner being, then I simply focus on its opposite and affirm that reality. So I'm reprogramming the unconscious programs that are still coming up for me, and that's the act of changing what your outer world is like, where you're creating an outer world that serves you rather than one that oppresses you. So this choice, which is not recognized by many people, even many people who meditate. In the beginning of meditation, I know I never thought about that. I did not grasp the depths of what I was doing in terms of what was possible here. And it took years of meditation before I finally realized, yes, this is what's happening. And to a great degree, many of the disempowering beliefs that I used to have 20, 30 years ago no longer come up for me. But there are still some things that do. And because it's deeply rooted in our evolution up to this time. So we begin the human journey not knowing anything about ourselves, and we experience the unconscious beliefs, the negative beliefs, as if without question they are real and this is us, so forth and so on, until we have fulfilled that experience of negativity and contraction. And once we have, then we begin, the polarity shifts in our experience to the positive, and we begin to explore meditation and holistic lifestyle so that we become more and more aware of who we are. And it's kind of funny when you think about it, because when you look at the world in general, most people spend more time getting to know things outside of themselves than they do their inner being, because the fact that there is an inner being doesn't even enter into their minds. It doesn't enter into their awareness. Except maybe once in a while they might have a breakthrough experience, and then that might wake them up for a while, and then they might start to explore it. But to what degree and how much it will depend on where their feet are, where they have evolved to. And for myself, this was a very powerful moment in my life where I had an awakening experience many, many years ago. And from that point on, everything in my life was turned upside down, and I was on a journey new to me, and one that I did not fully understand by any means in the beginning. But it had the impact of, yes, this is what I have to do. This is what I want in my life, is to meditate, to grow my awareness and become the blissful being that I experienced in my awakening experience. There was no question of a doubt, this is what I want, and this is what people unconsciously seek from the outside world. But this is a dysfunctional way to go about it, because the outside world is your creation. And if your creation is unconscious and there's negativity and you have negative definitions of who you are that disempower you, that is never going to work, because they're at play. And what you have in your outer reality is going to be a reflection of your inner reality. So trying to get some satisfaction, some fulfillment out of the outside world it always falls short. You can get rich, you can have power, you can have all these things. And we see this over and over again in the outside world. People with great power are not happy. In fact, they're probably the most miserable people in the world, because they've created a world for themselves that is reflecting back the disempowerment that led them to that choice in the first place. And today I know there's been many discoveries with new tools and new ways to observe. We found recently there's been a lot of ancient civilizations that were well beyond anything we ever believed before, in the jungles and stuff, that were covered over. And now we can see through that jungle and we can find them. And when we find them, what we find is, over and over again, there's been civilizations that have arisen, built great structures, had whatever kind of commerce they had, and then they died. Just like we do. We're born, we live, we die. We come in, we come out. So while we're here, it would be wise to pay attention to our experience and become more conscious of our experience, especially in terms of how we are creating that experience. So what I do is for one thing, I watch what I'm putting into me, in the data that comes in. And if it's unconscious, negative data, then I go away from it, because I don't want that kind of, I've had enough of that. What I do look for, though, are people of like-minded dedication in their life, other people who talk about meditation, who have other ways of exploring consciousness and developing and growing your awareness, because that is serving me today. And the more I do that, the more I find different tricks and tips that I can utilize here and now in my own practice. And I find that much more elevating and useful than watching something that's about, well, let's say it's very negative and unconscious. So why would I do that? It's not going to serve me. It's only going to feed what I've had so much of in my past. And I don't really want that anymore, because it doesn't serve where I'm going right now, at least where I intend to go. So to be familiar with is to know yourself more and more, how you operate, what kind of data you are consciously or unconsciously entertaining from moment to moment to moment. And when you walk or go someplace, how does that affect you? What does that bring up for you? When you're alone, what comes up for you then? And when circumstances change throughout your day, what comes up for you? Where do you feel disempowered? And what kind of data is happening then? In order to examine this, in order to become familiar with yourself in changing circumstances, you must develop your awareness enough that it's with you 24/7. You're always, a part of you is always watching, and always looking very closely at what's going on within you, what's coming up from your state of being, and what is that reflection like on the external world at that time. It gives you clues and whatnot in terms of the mechanics of your reality. The virtual reality, the real reality, how real can reality ever be if it's constantly changing? Which brings up another very important point here is that we are the creators of our experience. This is one of the fundamental laws of holistic lifestyle. You can't, we're all participating in our reality, and how we do this determines what kind of a reality we experience. If we are constantly emphasizing the positive, then we experience the positive. If we're constantly entertaining the negative, the disempowering kind of data that we can have, then that's what we have in our outside world. It's a reflection of what's going on the inside. And it sounds very simple, and it really is very simple, but it's very challenging because you're so addicted to whatever data that's going on unconsciously, and you, for some reason, for somehow, in your development, in your evolution, you have developed very firm beliefs that are not serving you at all, negative beliefs, and they're very strong because you're living in a world where that's the default dominant polarity. So there's plenty of opportunities for reinforcement in those kind of negative definitions of yourself that end up being part of your external reality. So you have to be very devoted and aware and conscious from moment to moment to moment throughout your waking day. You sit to meditate, you go into yourself, and in that context, you can have many breakthroughs, you can have many insights happen. But after that, the process still goes on, and you have the opportunity to constantly use that awareness in your waking day when you're busy doing what you have to do to live your life in this world, and watch what kind of data is coming up for you when something does happen that's not serving you. And then use your awareness to reverse that, to reprogram yourself. You have unconscious programs running that tell you you're poor, that you're not worthy, that you can't be loved, etc., etc. Simply reverse that and affirm that you are wealthy, that you're healthy, and you're wise, and so forth and so on. And after a while, that's the data that you have recreated for yourself. And those are the programs that you choose consciously to have because they serve you. And with this power and this potential in your life, it's a shame that you don't use it if you can use it. So if you're meditating, and if you're watching this, I'm sure you are, don't stop. Go for it, and embrace it in your life as the tool of choice for you to live with, because it can have more empowering effects in your life than any other practice you could possibly do. Don't leave it up to chance. Chance is just another piece of data that says you have to be lucky in order to have something good happen in your life. You have to be lucky. Buy that lottery ticket, etc., etc. And how many people are doing that every day and just wasting their time doing it because they haven't changed the programs that they're running in the creation of their reality. So if you're already wealthy inside, you'll experience that wealth in the outside. If you're already healthy in the inside, you will experience health in your body, and the various parts of your being will affect the body and the emotions and the mind and how they operate and how well they're synchronized in a positive way. So it's a tool that should not be taken lightly, and you should be hopefully fully engaged in it, because it's you loving yourself. And that is the most important thing that I have learned in my time of meditation and all the experiences I've had, especially here at Synchronicity. From my teacher, was the main thing that you really want to focus on all the time is loving yourself. The more you love yourself, the more you love life. And the more you love life, the more inclusive you are, and the less stress you have, and the more opportunities you have to increase the delight of living. And I can't think of anything more valuable for any human being in this world, especially today. So that's what I wanted to share with you in this Monday morning contemplation sharing, and I hope it has helped you, served you, and inspired you to embrace your own practice of meditation and growing your awareness even more. So I bid you adieu until next Monday, when I will be back to share another contemplative focus with you. Thank you for watching.